Hello and welcome to the Telegraph Studios, where today I'm joined by Andy Wood, MD of GI Insight. Andy, hello.
Hello.
Let's say I'm a merchant on the high street. I've been there for years, I know my suppliers, my products, my customers. What can data teach me that I don't already know?
It will give you facts. So you may think you know what's going on with your business and you'll know to a degree certainly your trends, but the data will give you hard information to allow you to make better business decisions about your customers, particularly if they're increasing and decreasing, and allow you to change the way you talk to them appropriately.
Let's drill down a bit into that. Can you give me some specific examples?
Of course. So if, say, you're down like 5% like for like, they'll only be for 4 different reasons. It'll be because you've got fewer new customers than you did this time last year. With your existing customers, they've changed their spend patterns, so they're spending less per customer. So they were spending 5 times a year, they're now only spending 3 or 4. They're spending less per transaction, or you're losing more customers than you were this time last year. Now each of those need very different business responses, and without the database you actually don't know what the right response is.
So if the benefits are so clear, how come companies are ignoring this opportunity?
Because linking online data and store data needs to be brought together in what we call a single customer view database. Not everyone is actually doing that. So a lot of businesses we come across will have the online data separate from the store data, and that's actually a big problem. They're not able to actually get into the insights, so turn that data into something meaningful, so therefore they can't use it properly commercially. And because of that, senior management tends not to be supportive. So it's actually very critical to get them understanding what the benefit is.
So how do you overcome these problems?
Well, it's quite straightforward, but it's actually fundamental. With the single customer view, you need to be able to build that database, bringing the store data, the online data, and the online browsing data together, and that's actually important to do. You can do that through external software and do it yourself, or you can use somebody like ourselves to do it, to actually take that away from you and actually build that, and that's something we're exceptionally good at. With doing the internal analysis, to actually turning that data into something meaningful, you can do that yourself, again with the relevant software, but you need the right internal skills. It isn't just about the software, or you can use somebody like ourselves to actually do that analysis for you, and actually that means you can focus on what it means from the business. And the thing I really like about database marketing with regards to the senior support, you can actually prove the performance. It's the only technique where you can actually prove to a managing director and a finance director the actual pound, shilling and pence benefit of a particular activity. And once they see that, they get very strongly on board.
So say I like it, I want to sign up. Where do I start?
We start with what we call a data audit. So we will understand what data you've got at the moment, we will analyse that, and actually understand what your customer spend patterns are now. And I guarantee there'll be a few surprises in there. And that means together we can decide what the most appropriate response would be.
And so what are the major dangers and maybe surprises that might happen?
Some of the dangers is with, for example, the single customer view, believing that you actually can do it all yourself. I mentioned you have 2 choices, be that build it yourself or use somebody like ourselves. With build it yourself, you're using off-the-shelf software. And the danger with that is every business is different. And using off-the-shelf software means you're having to compromise to some degree what you want to do. And finally, bringing online data together. That's a new area with this thing called big data, but that's actually fairly fundamental.
So if I ask your help, how would we work together?
We'd work collaboratively. So once we've done that data audit that I mentioned, we'll understand your customer spend patterns, and together we'll be able to identify what are the key business issues, agree what we're going to be presenting to the senior board to explain what the business challenges are and what the most appropriate responses are.
So it's not an off-the-shelf solution then?
No, definitely not. It's a tailored approach. Although we use standardised approaches, every client is different.
And how long does it take to implement, and what kind of costs are we looking at?
The implementation cost will be anywhere from 4 weeks to 12 weeks, and cost is really about an investment. So as ever, it's how long is a piece of string. But a good way to look at it is a program will typically cost all up, not just in our cost, but the entire program costs about £5 a customer. And so with one of our pub clients, we said to them, that means you've got to sell an extra 2 pints of beer a year for it to break even. So does that sound plausible? And clearly the answer is yes.
So you went along to the pub and had a few pints and that
Absolutely,
was it.
yeah.
And let's talk about data security here. How do you guarantee that?
Data security is the very heart of what we do. So we are what's known as ISO 27001, that's International Security Banking Standards, and that's absolutely fundamental because we have some of the largest loyalty programs in the country. So data protection and data security is absolutely paramount for us.
And what are the current strongest trends?
The key trend we find is companies wanting to understand their customers more through insight and use that to change the way they talk to them. That is by far the strongest trend we're seeing in the business at the moment.
So it's a must-have then?
Definitely, because the need to bring in online data, you need to build this single customer view database, and it's only then can you then actually start to understand what's going on with your customers.
Andy Wood, many thanks.
Thank you.